Jungle Action. Number 7. November 1973. T'Challa returns to Wakanda, but his arrival is met not with celebration, but with tension. The hidden jungle paradise he calls home is no longer the same land he once left. His leadership is now challenged by Erik Killmonger, a powerful and violent figure who emerged from the mountain settlements surrounding central Wakanda. Killmonger hurls Black Panther over a cliff and into a waterfall. As T'Challa plummets downward, Killmonger stands above and declares his doom, signifying the brutal nature of this escalating conflict. As T'Challa plummets through Warrior Falls, he reflects on the waterfall's raw power, recalling a childhood moment with his father who taught him to respect, but not fear, it. The Panther remembers his lifelong training and ceremonial trials, yet even with all his strength, the pounding force of the waterfall now threatens to overwhelm him. Fighting for survival, he kicks off moss-covered rocks to push toward the surface, suppressing panic and the desperate need for air. Meanwhile, unseen enemies plan an ambush, waiting for warriors to return from retrieving the body they expect will be dead. Below the surface, T'Challa glimpses jagged rocks, awaiting his fall, ready to end his life if he fails to escape. Monica Lynn stands by the river of grace and wisdom for the first time, reflecting on its calm flow. Once a singer, she listens to the water like she did to music, recalling the one man who truly listened to her, T'Challa. Guided by Tanzika to a bathing spot, Monica feels uneasy around her but enters the water. Tanzika departs, saying she'll be in the Amber Pagoda if needed. As Monica relaxes, the warm water briefly soothes her alienation. But peace is short-lived. She spots T'Challa's limp body floating nearby. Her cry of recognition goes unanswered as she tends to him on the riverbank. Rushing to him, she pulls him ashore in shock. Tears fill her eyes as she fears the man who once listened so deeply may now never hear again. As dusk settles over the isolated village of Njadaka, eerie flute music drifts through the air. The villagers react uneasily as a masked, colorless-faced man performs with snakes, wrapping vipers around his body. It's revealed that they respond not to the music, but to chemical potions, hypnosis, and conditioning. The performer is described as a master of controlling these venomous creatures, wielding them like a living arsenal. Nearby, Tayete watches the act with unease, despite pretending otherwise. Killmonger, standing beside him, mocks Tayete's discomfort and praises Venomm's increasingly flamboyant performances, hinting at deeper plans behind the unsettling spectacle. Killmonger rejects his past name, Njadaka, and reminds Venomm, once called Horatio, that they now follow new identities. He recalls promising Venomm a place to practice his reptilian skills without judgment. Killmonger declares their time for action is now and claims the failed ambush at Black Warrior Creek has removed the Panther as a threat. Tayete questions why a frail outsider like Venomm commands the death regiments. In response, Killmonger strikes Tayete down and warns him to hold his tongue. He reminds Tayete that Venomm's serpents are not for show, they are deadly tools, and disrespecting him could prove fatal. In the ceremonial chambers of central Wakanda, tension builds during a sweltering week as flames from the Tranquility Temple burn in tribute to those slain at Black Warrior Creek. T'Challa recovers quickly from his injuries and takes his place before the court. He surveys the room. Tanzika remains indifferent, Monica senses the tribunal's disdain, Taku sits stoically, Wakabi waits for action, and Zatama seethes with anger. T'Challa regrets the absence of joy in his return and blames its theft on Erik Killmonger. He recounts how Killmonger was captured during Klaus' brutal raid that killed T'Challa's father. Taken with others to mine vibranium, Njadaka's origins and suffering shaped the man he would become. T'Challa recalls his father's death and the pain of never expressing his love before it was too late. He remembers destroying Klaus' attempt to steal vibranium and how Njadaka escaped captivity after reaching America, left bitter and displaced. Recognizing T'Challa's Wakandan costume during his time with the Avengers, Njadaka contacted him and was brought back to Wakanda, only to vanish again. Now returned as Erik Killmonger, his rise to power remains a mystery. In the tribunal, tensions flare as Wakabi demands answers about Zatama's defiance. T'Challa urges calm, valuing passion over apathy. Suddenly, Taku interrupts with news. The remote unit has detected alarming signs near Warrior Falls, panic and sightings of what they call a deathly legion. Monica describes the attackers as led by a corpse-like figure wrapped in serpents, who vanished as suddenly as they appeared. T'Challa rises, still wounded, but insists the deeper wounds are not physical. He orders Wakabi to double the guards at the Eternal Peak, vowing Killmonger must never extinguish its sacred flame. Meanwhile, Taite and Kazibe mock T'Challa, believing him dead and boasting about how they would have finished him. Suddenly, Black Panther ambushes them from above, striking Taite and declaring he will show no mercy. The stunned attackers try to bluff, claiming the death regiments are close behind. T'Challa knocks them both from the branch, declaring the death regiments would be more useful than either of them. A preternatural silence blankets the untamed Wakandan highlands as jungle creatures sense the passing of death. A procession of warriors, ghost-like in the mist, emerges by Black Warrior Falls. With practiced precision and grim ritual, they disappear into the rocky caverns beyond the falls. These ominous figures, known as the Death Regiments, march into a side cave, their red shields and skeletal adornments distorted by the swirling fog. Their eerie presence confirms their fearsome reputation, as this is a mission they have undertaken many times. However, this time is different. Unbeknownst to them, they are being watched. From a tree above the waterfall, the Black Panther silently observes. Though his body aches from torn ligaments and bruised muscles, the panther silently stalks through the cavern behind the death regiments. His keen senses and instincts guide him through shadowy rock passages. As he moves like his namesake, he detects no sound of pursuit, despite the sound-amplifying cavern walls. At the trail's end, a staggering sight awaits, an enormous, hidden mining operation glowing with bluish light from exposed vibranium ore. T'Challa realizes he's beneath the sacred mound of vibranium, which absorbs all vibrations, making the intrusion undetectable. Guards above remain unaware the ground is being hollowed out. Suddenly, a buzzing sound erupts, and a barbed bullwhip lashes around his chest and throat, striking with brutal force. As T'Challa turns, he glimpses the blurred form of the man who commands the death regiments. Venomm, coiled serpents writhe across Venomm's body, their tongues flicking from poisonous jaws. But more than the snakes, Panther senses the man's burning hatred. His scarred face reflects trauma dating back to childhood. Once known in America as Horatio Walters, Venomm once found poetry in his name, until ridicule crushed it. Rejected as a child and embittered as an adult, he built a tolerance to the venom of his reptiles, transforming them into an extension of himself. Now, with whip in hand and hatred driving him, he confronts the panther like a second deadly skin prepared to strike with precision and fury. Venomm taunts T'Challa, claiming Killmonger said he was no longer a threat. As he cracks his whip, the panther counters midair, declaring he's far from done. Venomm, surrounded by his snakes, boasts about being mocked as a sideshow freak, and now striking back with lethal force. As one serpent lunges, Venomm orders the panther to remember his name while dying. But T'Challa deflects the attack, stunning Venomm with his speed and strength. Dodging a snake strike, the panther stays agile, but the ground beneath him gives way. Despite his acrobatics, the ledge crumbles underfoot, threatening to plunge him into the depths. Clinging to the cliff's edge, T'Challa maneuvers despite Venomm's taunts, who mocks his contortions and promises his imminent death. But in a daring move, the panther lets go with one hand and swings outward, using Venomm's own foot as leverage. In a flash, he reverses their positions, placing Venomm in danger instead. Venomm screams about not wanting to lose Killmonger's promise, or his one chance at respect. But the panther refuses to entertain the idea. With cold resolve, he rejects Venomm's plea. T'Challa condemns Venomm for mocking the word respect, declaring that true respect must first be earned by giving it. With explosive force, he strikes Venomm down, proclaiming that the panther is back. Gripping his fallen foe, T'Challa makes a solemn vow: he will not rest until he ends the terror unleashed by Killmonger. He promises to follow the path of destruction left behind and face not only Venomm and the death regiments, but any threat Killmonger dares to summon. With fierce resolve, he states that nothing will keep him from reaching his enemy.